Space is quite vast.
We're receiving a signal.
On audio,
Oh my God, it's full of stars.
Doc, you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Prepare ship for ludicrous speed.
Into the limitless boundaries of space.
It's in the name of science.
Absolutely marvelous.
The latest result in machine intelligence.
I'll be back.
God creates dinosaurs. God destroys dinosaurs. God creates man. Man destroys God. Man creates dinosaurs. I am your father. The podcast from Planet
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast from Planet X. My name is Ben, and with me today, as always, is my co-host David.
What's up, guys?
This episode, we are covering Galaxy Quest, which is a sci-fi parody film, is how I would put it. We'll get into our thoughts and feelings in a little bit, but we've got a few things to go through first. So, the synopsis of the movie. The stars of a 1970s sci-fi show, now scraping a living through reruns and sci-fi conventions, are beamed aboard an alien spacecraft. Believing the cast's heroic on-screen dramas are historical documents of real-life adventures, the band of aliens turns to the ailing celebrities for help in their quest to overcome the oppressive regime in their solar system. We've got a few people that we're going to go through. First is Tim Allen. He's one of the stars of the movie. He plays Jason Nesmith. You might know him from Home Improvement, where he played Tim the Toolman Taylor. He was also Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story, Scott Calvin in all of the Santa Claus movies, good and bad. And he plays Mike Baxter in the sitcom Last Man Standing.
I'm actually interested to see which ones you don't like, but we'll get into that later. All right. And then we've got Sigourney Weaver, and I probably butchered it, which I apologize so much. She, God. I know who she is. Apparently I don't know who she is. Anyways, plays Gwen DeMarco. She also played Ellen Ripley in the Alien franchise, Donna Barrett in Ghostbusters 1 and 2. She's voice of the ship's computer in WALL-E, and then played Dr. Grace Augustine in Avatar. The good
to
one,
be
not the bad
confused
one.
with Avatar: The Last Airbender, the movie.
No, it was just called The Last Airbender.
Oh, wasn't?
Yeah, that's how bad they disrespected that show, but that's another discussion.
We'll have to talk about that on our other podcast one day. Next, we've got Alan Rickman, who played Sir Alexander Dane. He played Hans Gruber in Die Hard, probably one of my favorite movies and favorite Christmas movies, although many people have debated me on whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Different discussion for a different day.
Hey, you know what? I agree with you. That's all that counts.
He also played Professor Severus Snape in the Harry Potter franchise, Marvin the Paranoid Android in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and Judge Turpin in Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
And then we've got Tony Shalhoub, who played Fred Quan? I'm assuming the K is silent?
No, it's Quan.
Is it Quan? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, played Antonio Scarpacci,
I think.
Scarpacci, whatever. In Wings. Adrian Monk in Monk. Abe Wiseman in The Marvelous Miss Maisel. And then Alexander Minion in the Spy Kids franchise.
Spy Kids. What a great film franchise.
3D, right?
Oh yeah, the best one. Next, we've got Sam Rockwell, who played Guy Fleegman. He played William Wild Bill Wharton in The Green Mile. Zaphod Beeblebrox in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Justin Hammer in Iron Man 2, which interestingly enough, I think is the only role that I remember him in, even though I've seen The Green Mile. And George W. Bush in Vice.
And then we've got Daryl Mitchell, who played Tommy Weber, who also played Dexter Walker on the sitcom LaCroix? The John LaCroix Show?
I think so.
Okay, thank God. Got something right. Played Leo Michaels on the sitcom Veronica's Closet. Sounds interesting. Eli Goggins III on the sitcom Ed. And then Peyton Flame on the crime drama NCIS New Orleans.
Dean Parisot is credited as the director of the film. He also directed Framed, the romantic comedy Home Fries. He directed the crime drama ATF and directed the action comedy Red 2. Red 2 is actually a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it a lot.
I've not seen any of those. And then we've got Robert Gordon, who is our screenwriter, and he is also a writer for the romantic comedy Addicted to Love, writer for Men in Black 2, writer for Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, and then writer for the animated adventure movie Wonder Park. The other credited writer for this film, David Howard, has Galaxy Quest as his only film credit.
Okay. So, what I want to hear what you thought about this to begin with, because you told me over text that it wasn't what you were expecting, and you didn't say whether you said that it wasn't good and it wasn't bad, but I'm still interested to see what you thought.
Okay, so that text in hindsight is it was premature because well, at least the explanation as to it. It still wasn't what I was expecting. When you first explained to me what Galaxy Quest was, I was thinking it was going to be like a straight up sci-fi movie that wasn't based on the show that they had based it on. And the first 2 or 3 minutes when they're re-airing that old episode in front of the convention attendees was like, oh God, what is this movie? This is going to be so bad. This is terrible. What has he talked me into? And then once I realized what it was, I actually really liked it. It's a really funny movie, which I expected nothing less considering it had Tim Allen in it, but still, I was really worried there for a second. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, all the actors in this movie are actually, like, they're super hilarious. I loved everybody in this movie.
Yes. It was awesome. But it ended up being a lot better than what I guess you was thinking. I probably wasn't liking it. But believe me.
I kind of thought that you would like it. I wasn't sure, but how did I phrase this movie to you when it got picked?
See, that's the thing. You may have phrased it in a way that I was honestly just half listening.
I feel like I told you that it was like a sci-fi parody movie or something like that.
I don't
maybe
remember
that's what put
parody
you off
being
a little
in
bit
there at all.
I don't know. I don't remember what I said. Or maybe I said sci-fi comedy.
I
don't know.
I think you might have said sci-fi comedy or something like that. Like at first, it was not what I was expecting, and it still wasn't at the end. Mm-hmm. But it was still really good.
Yeah, I have only seen like bits and pieces of this movie, like you know how back when we were kids, and maybe still now for some people, but definitely back when I was a kid, how you would like be channel surfing on Saturday afternoon or whatever when there was nothing on.
Yep.
And then random movies would be on.
Yep.
This was one of those ones that I would see every once in a while. I just never I always caught it in the middle, so I was like, I have no idea what's going on. There's no point in me watching this.
Yeah.
Because this is one of those movies, even though it is a sci-fi comedy, if you don't come at it from the beginning, you're not going to understand what's going on at all.
No.
It's like, so these, are they in space? Do they know they're in space? Do they think that they're real people? What's going on here? I don't. It's very hard to explain if you don't see it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, extremely. But having seen it from the beginning now, I really enjoyed it. I've heard the hype surrounding this movie, and it's definitely worth all of the praise I've heard it get over the years of just like knowing about it.
Is it bad that I've never heard of this before you mentioned it? Not once.
I mean, I
ever
don't
heard
think
of
so.
this.
I feel like it's a pretty low key sci-fi movie. I mean, it's not anything that spawned anything crazy. I mean, we'll get to it a little bit later, but there hasn't really been any pickup on like a sequel series or a sequel movie just because time has passed and everything.
Yeah.
Still could happen, but it's probably because it hasn't spawned anything like gigantic other than its cult following that it has.
Yeah.
So it's not like Star Wars where you've got 9 movies out, or even Star Trek where even though this is directly parroting Star Trek, where you've got a whole bunch of reference material or anything. Even like Blade Runner, that's a gigantic movie. Did you heard about Blade Runner before we saw that, right?
Oh no, I've definitely heard of Blade Runner. I never watched it.
Yeah. I think this flew even farther under the radar than Blade Runner did, which is crazy to think about considering the 17 million cuts there are of Blade Runner, but still, somehow this flew way farther under the radar for, I think, a lot of people than it did, than Blade Runner did. Still,
Gotcha.
fantastic movie though. So yeah, like we said, this is very much a sci-fi parody. There are a bunch of instances that I wanted to talk about that I thought were really interesting, where it's parodying English Star Trek. So the first that I've got, the script was originally titled Galaxy Quest: The Motion Picture, which was a reference to the first Star Trek film's title, Star Trek: The Motion Picture. The departure from the space dock and the malfunctioning transporters are also references to the original Star Trek movie. The Protector's registration number, NTE 3120, alludes to some sort of space federation, such as the one that exists in the Star Trek universe, but in reality it stands for not the Enterprise. The rock monster is a reference to Gorn from the Star Trek episode Arena. The film also parodied the effect that the Star Trek series had on its actors, particularly Alexander Dane, who in the movie was typecast after his series ended, much the same way that Leonard Nimoy, who played Spock, was after Star Trek ended. The time between the original Galaxy Quest series and its sequel, Galaxy Quest: The Journey Continues, is 17 years, the exact amount of time between the original Star Trek series and Star Trek: The Next Generation. The Thurian's native planet, Klaatu Nebula, is a reference to the name of the alien in The Day the Earth Stood Still. Quellic's line, "I'm shot," was directly influenced by the same line from James Brolin's characters in Westworld. The blue creatures on the alien planet were based on similar creatures in Barbarella. The chomper scene with Nesmith and DeMarco, a.k.a. Sigourney Weaver and Tim Allen, trying to reach the self-destruct abort button was inspired by a scene from a 1997 film, Event Horizon, involving whirring blades. The effects for the Omega-13 activation were inspired by the ending scene from Beneath the Planet of the Apes. And it's actually... I can't remember where this poll came from, but there was a poll taken in 2013 that ranked this the 7th best Star Trek movie of all time. And there's a lot more than 7 Star Trek movies.
Oh, no.
It's hilarious. I love just reading about the way that Star Trek fans have adopted this into Star Trek lore almost it's hilarious. I love it.
Oh, you people.
For real.
All right. So, some of the themes associated with this movie are illusion and reality. The illusion of the television show becomes reality for Mathesar and his crew. The illusion of the television show becomes the reality for the Galaxy Quest crew as they become what they have pretended to be. The Galaxy Quest. God. Say this 5 times fast, and it's going to be all over the place tonight. The Galaxy Quest crew is not who they pretended to be in any way, even to each other as actors. At the return home, the fans at the convention think that the entrance and the subsequent destruction of Ceres is just part of the act, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, I know. Like, I saw that, and I'm like, seriously, how do you think a gigantic spaceship crashing through the side of a convention center is in any way, shape, or form part of the stage act?
I don't know. That was a lot of destruction for an act, let me tell you.
No kidding. No kidding.
All right, and then we've got redemption. Although Mathesar thinks that the Galaxy Quest crew has saved his people, it is the innocent faith of the aliens which redeems lives that have become meaningless for the crew. The death of Alexander Dane's fan inspires Dane to become what he is perceived to be. In the bathroom stall, Jason hears the kids talking about what a meaningless shame the Galaxy Quest cast and those who got to the conventions are living. He realizes it's true and sinks into despair. That was like a soul-crushing moment, too.
Yeah, I know.
Despite this, later on, he grows into the leader he played on TV for so long and was able to learn to see his castmates as equals.
The one thing that I thought was weird about this movie is clearly they've been going to these conventions for a long time. It's interesting how he hasn't heard something like that before now.
Yeah.
Like how it all just kind of lines up. I feel like that's a little bit of plot convenience, but still.
Yeah. I mean, and this convention was what, like 10, 20 years after the fact or something like that? Like, it was a while.
It had to be close to 17 because, I mean, right after they got back from this mission, they got their sequel series, so.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, about 17 years later.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think he'd know by now. Like, the newspaper, the tabloid, something.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's just too into himself to realize, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
And then last, but definitely not least, we have faith. The faith of Mathesar and his shipmates inspires the Galaxy Quest crew to become what they've pretended to be. We're going to have to call this something else. I'm going to mess that up so many times. The GQ.
There you go. The GQ crew.
Brandon's faith in a seeming illusion allows him to be helpful in the struggle.
That was actually a really interesting point in the movie because I sincerely thought that up until that point, Brandon didn't really serve any purpose other than to show how much of a jerk Jason was to his fans. The fans that like really, really cared about the show. I thought it was really cool that his knowledge and he and his friends' knowledge actually played some part in the overarching plot.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I felt sorry for the kid too. I was like, "Aw."
Oh yeah.
He just got his soul crushed. That was basically the same thing as what we were talking about. I don't remember if it was the last episode of this podcast or if this was a podcast period topic. But the Star Wars fiasco about who was his name? What was his name? The head creative director for Star Wars or something like that.
Yeah, that was the podcast period one.
Okay. So that reminded me of that. Just straight out saying, it's not real. It's fake. It doesn't matter. I was like, oh, that poor kid.
Mm-hmm. It's sad. But at least he gets to be useful in some sort of way, right?
Yes. qualifying
Okay.
redemption.
Okay, so next we've got the proposed sequel / TV series. Apparently, there's been talk of a sequel since the film's release in 1999, but it really only gained traction when Alan mentioned that there was a script. Sigourney Weaver and Sam Rockwell have mentioned that they were interested in returning. In 2015, Paramount Television, along with the movie's co-writer Gordon, director Paraso, and executive producers Johnston and Bernstein, announced they were looking to develop a television series based on Galaxy Quest. The move was considered in a similar vein as Paramount's revivals of Minority Report and School of Rock as television series. In August of 2015, it was announced that Amazon Studios would be developing it. In January 2016, after the unexpected death of Alan Rickman from pancreatic cancer, Tim Allen commented in The Hollywood Reporter about the franchise's chance of a revival, saying, "I'm not supposed to say anything. I'm speaking way out of turn here, but Galaxy Quest is really close to being resurrected in a very creative way. It's closer than I can tell you, but I can't say more than that. The real kicker is that Alan now has to be left out. It's been a big shock on so many levels." The plans were revived in August of 2017 with the announcement that Paul Scheer would be writing the series. Speaking to Slash Film, Scheer said that his first drafts were submitted to Amazon in November, and he wanted to create a serialized adventure that starts where the film ends, but leads into the cultural shift in Star Trek that has occurred since 1999. He said, "I really wanted to capture the difference between the original cast of Star Trek and the J.J. Abrams cast of Star Trek. To that end, Scheer's original scripts called for 2 separate casts that would come together by the end of the first season of the show, though he did not confirm if this included any of the film's original cast." Following the dismissal of Amy Powell as president of Paramount Television in July 2018, Scheer said the Galaxy Quest series had been put on hold while Paramount's management was being reestablished, but anticipated that the show would continue forward after that. He also said that they were making the series to allow the introduction of new characters while extending the setting, similar to what Star Wars The Force Awakens did for A New Hope. All that being said, would you be interested in seeing a sequel, or do you think that where they left it off was good?
The only sequel that I would be interested in seeing would be a television series follow-up. As far as a movie goes, absolutely not. I think the movie ends exactly the way they ended it. They relaunched into a new series at the end of the movie. And I feel like that's the only thing that would be that would do it any justice at all. As far as a movie goes, no. What are they going to do a movie about? Unless they're going to do a movie of short episodes, which I hate. Let's do that. It doesn't feel right.
Are you talking about, like, you want them to make a TV series based on Galaxy Quest, the show, and the movie?
I don't see why not. It'd have to be better than the original intro Galaxy Quest that we were introduced to, because
True.
if it was a series like that, then I'm sorry, I feel like it would be unwatchable. But if it was like a serious,
some original Star Trek fans would have some things to say to you, David.
Was original Star Trek like that?
That's what it was parodying, yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes the point of a parody is just to be absolutely funny, balls off the wall.
I don't know. It got pretty campy.
Oh no. I've never watched it. I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, I haven't watched it either, but I know it can get pretty campy.
As far as what? Like the absurd
everything.
The absurd acting, the absurd
Have you not
stares
heard-
into
have
the what?
Have you not heard William Shatner talk?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh boy. Yeah. Well, if you knew what he sounded like, then yes, you would know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, anyways, Yeah, I want to see something. It can be a movie, it can be a series of shows. I don't care. I'd like to see something because this was just too good not to do something with.
I personally don't think that it should go for a TV show because I don't really see the point of that. But I think some sort of sequel movie would be pretty interesting, continuing the story maybe years down the line or something like that. I don't know what the plot would be, but I don't know. I think it would be interesting to see these characters in a different set of circumstances, maybe kind of in the same vein, because it still would have to be like a sci-fi movie somehow. But still, I'd be interested to see it.
This is where I'm going to fall apart really fast because I don't know any of this fandom. So, Galaxy Quest examines a fandom not unlike many we've seen today. While the movie parodies Star Trek fans in particular, you can look at almost any modern fandom and see the same things. For example, the movie shows fans asking the stars about intricate details in this series, ones that even if the stars were super fans, they wouldn't know. This example parallels the Star Wars fandom quite a bit, not because Star Wars fans find themselves in that exact situation, but because of their obsessive need to glean any bit of information they can about the world. That is so true. While this isn't necessarily a bad thing, it can lead to the other actors not enjoying their own works. On the flip side, however, the movie shows that the fans can help actors appreciate their work, although again, not because they can find themselves in the exact situation of the movie. You can hear in interviews time and again how actors don't like their work means much until... Wait, what? How actors don't feel like their work means much until someone comes up and tells them how it helped them go through a tough time or how it was their favorite show as a kid. I think the movie's conclusion on any fandom is that there's good and bad. You just have to choose to embrace the good and ignore the bad. God, you got to do that a lot today, don't you?
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, you do.
Why is there so many compromises? Why can't we just have a good Star Wars film?
I know, David. I'm with you. One of these days, we're gonna have to cover the Star Wars movies. I know I'm avoiding it because I know that hole that we're gonna dig ourselves into. But
oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait.
maybe we'll have to do that for our anniversary episode.
Sure, unless it gets pulled first. We can do
like the what I think what we should do. This is a little bit of behind the scenes for you guys. I think what we should do is we should take a month, like three episodes. We examine the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and the sequel trilogy, each in their own episode.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I think that would be an easy mess to get ourselves into.
Now, what do we do? Do we do the original trilogy first?
I think we just run through. I think we just run through episode order.
Episode
order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh God! You're gonna lose them right off the bat.
No.
I'm really interested to see. I know we're getting a smidge off topic. I'm interested to see what the original trilogy going into the prequel trilogy. Everybody hates the prequel trilogy, right? I'm interested to see what the prequel trilogy becomes now that the third one is out and that everybody hates that. Give it 5 years' time. I wonder if everybody's going to say that the first three, 1, 2, and 3, wasn't actually all that bad.
I don't know. We'll have to see. I want to talk about it, but I don't know. At the same time, I know.
Got a long time to stew about it.
Yeah, I know. Is there anything about the movie that you want to talk about before we talk about our plans for the next few episodes?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, it was easy to follow.
Yeah.
You knew what was happening. Even if you were half paying attention, as long as you were paying attention throughout the entire thing, even if it was only like half paying attention to it, you could easily follow it. It was really good. Yeah. They did a lot better than other sci-fi movies around that time frame as far as CGI and other special effects go.
Yeah, I know. There was a good amount of practical effects that that I think we should talk about. I really did enjoy the practical effects that they managed to put in there, like all of the costumes for the aliens and stuff, and the makeup, and it all looked fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, for this not being like a franchise movie, there was definitely some budget put into that.
What was the main antagonist's name?
Saris,
thank you. He was one ugly dude. Yeah, and it looked so good.
No kidding.
It was so believable. It wasn't cheesy or anything.
Yeah, I saw, I mean, it's easy to tell that they're practical effects, and you can tell that it's not real. But in the context of the movie, it is very easy to get sucked in and be like, oh yeah, that's an evil dude on the other side of that screen, or that's an evil dude in the other side of this room, whatever, you know? Everything in this movie effects wise was pretty darn fantastic.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm really shocked.
Something
that was made in the 90s. Whew.
See, this is what's funny is this is around the time of speaking of Star Wars, The Phantom Menace. 1999 was when it came out too.
Yep.
So, I mean, just imagine if George Lucas had decided to go more practical than computer generated in this movie.
Yeah.
In The Phantom Menace, how different that would have gone.
I think the Phantom Menace, excuse me, I feel like the Phantom Menace was a bit heavy-handed in it. I mean, you could spot it a mile away. You could spot that in standard definition. I'm sorry. I mean, woof. Some of those effects were not good.
No.
But I like the practical nature that they took with Galaxy Quest. I don't think there's anything else, though. Unless you've got something.
I don't think so. Like you said, it's a really easy to follow film, and even if you're like half paying attention to it, you can figure out what's going on. But I think that's to the movie's credit, because it's not trying to shove a whole buttload of information down your throat or anything like that.
Nope.
They introduce the main like MacGuffin plot device extremely early on, because you hear about it in literally the opening scene. So you're spending the entire movie like, what is this Omega-13 thing? Why is it in the movie? What is it about? So I don't know. I thought the movie was extremely good for what it was.
Yeah. I really did like the effects. Speaking of the Omega-13, those are some really nice looking effects. That purple.
Oh yeah.
Purplish spherish globule that look like, it honestly looked like something that would be in like Doctor Strange or something like that. Like when he's going after Vermanu or something like that. Like just or that whole illusion that he's having when the Ancient One throws his spiritual astro projection through whatever it is that she's trying to show him, and it's like really psychedelic and stuff.
Yeah. It's definitely
really cool.
It's definitely very psychedelic. I see that's something that I liked about the movie too, was when they did use computer generated effects, it was used very well.
Yes.
But it's not something that they were trying to make look like real per se, because you can definitely tell that it's computer generated, but you can also accept that this isn't something that would normally exist in reality. So how can I really compare this to something in reality, you know?
Exactly.
So if you're using your computer generated effects like that, I feel like you're using them very well.
Yes.
Yeah.
An appropriate use.
Yes, very much so. So yeah, I think that's everything we've got to say about Galaxy Quest. I did really like the movie. So out of what am I gonna do for this one? God. Out of 5 Inside Out pig monsters, what do you give this movie?
Oh, God. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, that was horrendous.
Yes, it was.
That reminded me straight up. Have you seen The Fly?
It's been a long time.
Oh,
yes.
God. Oh, I can't watch that movie ever again. Oh, that gave me nightmares. That's exactly what that reminded me of. It was a little bit more mellowed down in this movie. I mean, it was more comic than anything else, but okay. So out of 5 Inside Out pig monsters, I would give this a solid 3.5.
3.5.
Yes.
I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna do a little bit more than you. I think I'm gonna give this a 4. I really enjoyed this movie. It's definitely not. It's not like. I don't even think it's the best movie we've watched on this show, but for what it is, it's an extremely good movie.
Yes. I was going to give it a 3.75, but then I said 3.5.
So are you changing it?
Yeah, 3.75 is better. It sounds more complicated, but it's more realistic to how I actually feel.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to get into the business side of things. So we did say that after this episode, we were going to record our episode about the first season of Stargate. And we're still planning on recording that episode. It's just not going to be next episode.
No.
We kind of underestimated how long it would take to watch the first season of this show, because it has like
just a bit
22 episodes in the first season.
Just a bit.
And it's an hour-long show. So it's taken us a little bit to get through it. We are going to get to it. But we're not going to put a number on it just yet. What we're going to do until we're able to cover it is we're just going to watch a movie.
Yes.
Every episode until we're able to cover it.
Exactly.
Hopefully it won't take more than a couple more movies before we're able to cover the first season. But like we said on the last episode, we want to give ourselves enough time to be able to properly cover everything and watch everything. Not like, we don't want to cram everything into like a week and then end up hating the show because we decided to force it down our throats.
Yes.
So, to that end, I've got our random number generator up. I've added a couple new things to the list. I think like 2 or 3 more things since we last recorded.
Ooh, I don't think I've seen this updated list.
So, our number that we're going to land on is, we got 66 again, which is Stargate SG-1. All right, let's try that again. 52, which is Jurassic Park. I'm very excited. I haven't seen this movie in quite a long time, and I'm really excited to talk about the effects because, ooh boy, the effects in this movie are fantastic. I love it. All right, well, that is where we're going to leave this episode, guys. Be sure to look out for our next episode, which is on Jurassic Park. Make sure you leave a rating on whatever podcasting platform you are listening to us on, and yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast from Planet X. We are hosted, edited, and produced by Ben Mason, and co-hosted by David Knowles. Our theme song is produced by the Tormented Teamster. You can follow Ben on Twitter at BenPlaysVidyaS. That's Ben Plays VIDYAS. And you can follow David on Twitter at Car6x16. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can contact the show on Twitter at PlanetXPod or by email at podcastfromplanetx@gmail.com. That's all for this episode. We'll see you next time.